Well, disappointed in our performance last week. I think that anytime that you lose a game in this profession, it kind of sticks with you longer than when you win. Uh, but the challenge this week is as well as a great Miami team that's very athletic is you got to put it behind you. You got to flush it and move on, and hopefully you learn from some of the things that we didn't do as well, and try to get the team geared up and ready to go and play a very important conference game in Miami. I think there's no question that right now they're probably playing as well as anybody in the league. They always have great athletes, run well, so it'll be a big challenge for our guys.
You guys have played 7 straight weeks. Is it possible to get a second wind at any time?
Well, that's one of the issues we really discussed this morning. I talked about in the staff meeting is it's actually been 11 weeks if you count camp, in 11 straight weeks. And I think people talked about our schedule being a positive when we started out because we had a chance to gradually go in it. But this is probably about as long as I've ever played without a break, and that's going to be one of our challenges this week as coaches to try to make sure that we get our guys to the gate Saturday fresh enough to play. You want to practice, you want to get better, but at the same time, if you don't have your legs and you're not feeling right, it doesn't do any good. And I think that might explain a little bit where we've been the last couple of weeks. As I look back and I search on it, I think our guys want to win and they want to play. I don't doubt that. We just got to get a little more in the tank. And, this week we'll try to cut back some more and do some less physical stuff, and hopefully we can get to the gate and be a little bit fresher and play fast like we did early on in the year.
Kind of a fine line between.
It really is, and especially when you got a young team. Because there's so many things you need to keep working on and you need to practice. But at the same time, there's got to be some balance in there, and that's our job to try to find that balance.
Coach, I know that there's more that goes into good pass defense than just the secondary's play, but at least so far the numbers are better than last year, and I'm curious, obviously people were, I know you said how it's a more athletic group, but obviously there was some inexperience there. I'm curious just how you feel like those guys are playing back there.
Well, I think for the most part they've done a pretty good job. I think the numbers are probably skewed because we're not as good against the run and people aren't throwing as much. And, historically through the years when teams play us with our style, they're going to try to run the ball. Because the possessions are limited, there's not as many, they try to keep their defense off the field as much as they can. And, last week they got out in front, and we were having a hard time playing the run, so they kept running the ball. They threw it, actually, I think going into the game, they'd been averaging 37 passes a game, and they threw it like 17 or 18 times. So it was less, but, I think we've had some guys back there who have made some good plays. And when we've gotten people in some definite passing situations, we've gotten pretty good pressure too. But clearly those guys have done a little better job than they did, than we did a year ago.
Are you avoiding big plays left? Is that part of anything?
Well, we are maybe in the passing game. We haven't in the in the running game. We've had some long runs against us, but we had a huge pass play last week. You forget in the first quarter they hit the wheel route off play action and for a big play. But for the most part, we've done an okay job that way, I think.
You talked about the importance of bouncing back from a loss and learning from it. Have you been pleased with the way your team has responded since Saturday?
Yeah, well, we came back Monday and you watch the tape, you clean it up, and you condition. We'll find out a lot more today. I mean, Monday's just a more error correction, and I fully expect our guys are going to have a good attitude. I mean, we're disappointed we lost, but the sky's not falling. I mean, the team's 6-1. Before we bury us, let's at least give us a chance to play another couple games. It's like everybody wants to end the season and bury the team. maybe they're right, but let's at least go play and see what happens.
Coach, going back to the secondary, Jamia is back from his redshirt year. How has he progressed as the year is going on?
I think Jamia's played well. He's been, he's gone in on the nickel and stuff, and we're trying to work him back in at safety, and he needs to play more. I think you're going to see him play more here down the stretch.
Will Justin continue to handle all the field goals and extra points? And
I don't know. I mean, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over with the same results. And we've got to get the ball up. And, we've had some penetration on that team, but, when you kick it in, they block it with their face mask, you're not kicking it high enough. And he's very capable. But, there's a point where you got to believe what you see.
Two questions regarding that. Is that something that he's just not taking what he's doing in practice to games? And second, would David Scully be the most likely other option?
The answer to the first part is I think at times in practice he kicks it low. He's working on it. He understands that that's something that we need to get better at. The answer to your second question is I don't know. Probably not, but we'll see. It could be. We'll open that thing up and see who comes out. It may be Justin. I'm not saying he's not going to kick, but we need to see some improvement this week.
I guess looking back at the first 7 games, the special teams and the specialists in particular seem to have been kind of one thing that sticks out the most. That has been disappointing, I guess. Is it what about it has been the biggest problem, and kind of what do you do? And is it just one of those things where you just scratch your head and you don't know? Or
well, if I look at our special teams, I think you have to break it down. The punt return team, I think, is leading the league. You just need to get more opportunities. The areas that we've really the kickoff team has not been that badly. I mean, the guys covering, but if you kick the ball to the 20-yard line, they're going to get it to the 40. I mean, that's just the nature of it. When we've had pretty good kicks, I think for the most part we've had decent coverage. The kickoff return team has been abysmal. That's an area of concern, and we tried to address it in the off season. We visited a couple of NFL teams. We got some schemes. We got some stuff. We've just got to do a better job coaching it, I guess. I mean, that hasn't been good, and then the extra point field goals. It's pretty much, how you kick them. So it's could be better. At times it's been okay. At times it's not. I don't know the answer. I know that we spend time on it. We've just got to do a better job coaching it. Well, there again, the punt coverage I think has been okay when you punted the ball, but we've just been real inconsistent. And we've, tried a couple different guys, and there just has to be some consistency back there. It's what you got to do. It's not the NFL. You can't trade for someone. So.
We talked about the problems defending against the run. How much do you think Jeremiah and Daniel's injuries have factored into that? I
think any time that you lose people, it's a concern, but I don't know that that's the big problem. I think that it's like anything. We've got to find something that our guys can do better. They've got to play better, and we've got to put them in better positions. That's the bottom line. It's what happens no matter whether it's offense, whether it's defense, whether it's whatever. You've got, as a coach, we've got to put them in a position to be successful.
What are you expecting from them this week? Do you think they'll be?
I think you'll go see the same thing till we.
I was talking about Jeremiah and Daniel with the injuries.
Well, Daniel was available last week. He could have played. He was up for the game. Jeremiah's going to try to practice today, and we'll see. We'll evaluate as the week goes on. If I had to guess right now, I'd say 75, 80% today. Then we still got some time before Saturday.
Paul, with the new coaching staff at Miami, what are the differences in terms we can understand what they're doing?
Well, it's more similar than what you think. There's still a 4-3 defense. I don't see a lot of changes there. They're going to line up pretty much, I think, basically the same way they've played us the last 2 years. That's the way Temple lined up. Everybody lines up virtually almost identical. There's not been a lot of different looks. We've had a couple teams with 8-man fronts, but mostly it's been 7-man fronts, and they pretty much all have played the same way. Offensively, they're a little bit different. Their offensive coordinator came from Seattle. Same as the UVA's. I suspect you'll see a lot of the same stuff. They like to play action. They probably throw deeper. They've probably got more speed at receiver than UVA had.
You started to answer just a minute ago that you think teams are going to do the same thing until you stop there.
So you can stop it, yeah.
With Miami, they've been kind of a mid-level team in terms of rushing offense. Ja'Cory Harris has been having a hot hand passing.
Well, their tailback has been pretty good, I think, up until a week ago. I mean, he might have been the most impressive guy in our league. North Carolina held him down in check, but he's very talented. They got a big offensive line. We need to be able to stop or limit that. If I've said since I've been here, I don't think it changes. If you can run the ball and stop the run, you got a pretty good chance. If you don't stop the run, makes it really, really hard.
I wanted to ask an ACC-wide kind of question you've kind of touched on before, but in terms of national respect for the league, right now, Clemson just rattled off 3 straight wins over ranked teams, and yet with the first BCS standings out, they're pretty much out of that discussion right now in terms of what teams or what people are talking about in terms of the national championship picture. What's your opinion on that, and what does the ACC have to do to move up into that discussion?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about it. You know my take on the BCS to start with. So I think there needs to be some kind of playoff. I've always said that, and that's just my opinion. Nobody's going to change my mind. So it's you do what you can do, and then you worry about it. I mean, all you have to do is look at Clemson on tape and see they're a pretty good football team. So if they continue to win like they have, maybe it'll take care of itself. I'm just worried about playing Miami. I got enough problems without worrying about what the BCS thing is.
Paul, when you all are on defense, is there still a transition to the 3-4? Or everybody likes to talk about whether or not personnel matches and so forth. Or are the issues with run defense more about fitting and responsibilities, or lack of the proper type of player?
I think too much is made out of this scheme versus that scheme versus the bottom line is you have to beat blocks, and you have to identify formations, and you have to get enough people in a certain area to give them a chance. So we've got to do all the above. It's we've got to get our guys in better spots. Our guys got to do a better job beating blocks, tackling, all those things. It's not just as easy to say, well, this personnel, I find it really hard to believe that a team would be a great 4-3 team, but they're not a good 3-4 team. Or they're a great 3-4 team, but they're terrible if you lined up in a 4-3 team. I think you'd be probably the same within reason no matter how you were lined up.